Okay, so the point 5, security as a service. So where the whole SOC infrastructure is in the cloud, maybe it's in AWS or it's in Google Cloud or Azure. So what happens is that you pay as you go. That's how it is. Pay as you go. The entire SOC, the tools, whatever has been made available, which will be most of the times automated. So what happens is that, like I said, these ones are becoming popular because of these propagation of AI. The security as a service is more or less like AI based, where people who are even working over there don't much do anything, but just working with AI tools, which is a little bit easier, and they don't need much people to manage security as a service. It's a whole intelligent software that manages the entire infrastructure.
Okay.
So yeah, so it becomes so easy. And these are new. They are very new. Security as a service is very new because AI has made it more powerful. And it's difficult companies even trusting that you can put your whole infrastructure on wheels. It's not as easy as that. So that is it. If you're okay, we can move to the next one. So the core functions of a SOC analyst or a SOC operator. So you want to be a SOC analyst. These are core functions that you do. These are the things that you do every day. These are basic stuff you need to know. So it's irrespective of the model. All the models, the 5 models that we have talked about previously, irrespective of it, all these ones are something, any of the models, people working as SOC analysts, they do. So you do real-time surveillance of networks, systems and applications for suspicious activities and security events. So let's say somebody tries to log into an account and you realize that the company employees are all in the US, but you realize that somebody is trying to log into an account from Germany, but the person has not raised any ticket to make sure that I'm traveling to Germany and I'll be working from Germany. If you want to do that, you need to raise a ticket, request for certificates that will make sure that we'll know that at this point we have somebody trying to log into our infrastructure from Germany. So if that person does that, we need to be able to get an alert that somebody is trying to log in from Germany and block that person. So that's what you are doing. So, that's become suspicious. So anytime there is a suspicious logins or whatever, a lot of activities, sometimes you will see large sums of files being transmitted from the platform. It becomes suspicious. If you realize that somebody is downloading maybe 100 gig worth of data from the network, it's suspicious. And there are automated settings that are able to detect that and then lock all those things. Somebody tries to log into the account and they miss the password for so many times. It's suspicious because it will be a brute force attack. So that's what you do. So as a SOC analyst, you are monitoring. So look at it as a security guard. Somebody who is a security guard, but the security guard job that you are doing, you are just in front of a PC and monitoring. So that's your job. And then threat detection. So continuous monitoring is the first. Threat detection, where you identify potential security incidents. Now, you do this with tools. This is why it is easy. You do these things with tools like Splunk. It will flag all those things, all those examples that I've given. It will flag it and then let you know. Sometimes if you refuse to, maybe some workers don't sit in front of the Splunk, they are working from home and they think that, why should I be sitting in front of a PC for a long time? So there is what we call TTN and TTI. Will get to that place. So if you don't respond at the appropriate time, you will get an email that you are not in front of the PC. So it's automated stuff. It's not something you can do manually. So you get an alert that somebody is trying to break into the infrastructure, and then that is done. And then the next one is you do incident response. Now, the threat detection is also part of the investigation. Remember, I said 4 things: monitoring, detection, investigation, and response. These are the 4 things that SOC analysts do, and I said it. So here, the core functions, you need to know that it's going to be also 4. We have incident response, where anything that happens, you must respond. You must respond. So like I said, there will be teams doing each one of them. In my organization like that, we have about 5 people doing each of the tasks, each of the 4 tasks. So it makes it so easy, because if organizations can get a lot of people doing these jobs, yours becomes so minimal. So you can wake up one day and you don't have anything. You don't have anything. You have nothing doing. So what happens is that it becomes so easy, so easy working as a SOC analyst. So that's why I'm encouraging guys to get onto it, because it's so easy. So I forgot to include the investigation. The investigation must be part of the functions over here. Can you guys get what I'm trying to explain? The core functions. Investigation was mixed here, but the investigation must be part. So investigation will come under both the threat detection. So it's supposed to be threat detection and investigation, where you are identifying potential security incidents using detection technologies and methodologies. So you both detect it and investigate. Sometimes it could be a false positive. We'll explain all those jargons. It could be a false positive. It could be something that is not malicious. Maybe somebody has just forgotten the password. It's normal because of a lot of password and all those things. Somebody has forgotten the password. You need to call the person. As a SOC analyst, you sometimes have to call the person, send a message to the person in Teams and all that. So that's what you do. And that is part of the investigation. Some of the investigations are so shallow. It's not something that is difficult. You just have to call the person and ask, are you the one who was trying to log in into your account? We realized I was suspicious, so we have locked you out. So if the person confirms that, oh, it's me, it was me that was trying to log into the account, then you try to now reset the password for the person. So it's part of the core functions as a SOC analyst. So even if you can't remember anything today, remember that as a SOC analyst, you monitor, you detect, you investigate, and you respond. These 4 things, put it in your head. You don't have to memorize everything, just get it. Okay, some other functions are here. Like these ones are basic. Let's move ahead because we have a lot of slides to cover. So these are all parts that you do. And mostly, like I said, these are done by tools. You just have to understand and then get your way out. And then don't be afraid when we talk about tools, because companies have their own script. When we get to the lab session, I'll show you. They have their own script they have saved. So it's not like you need to know 100% of the tools. No. If somebody tells you that you need to know all the tools, myself, I don't know all the tools. Nobody can know all the tools. You only use a fraction of the tool to work. So that fraction that you use to work, it is that part that you need to learn. So it's not like you are supposed to know everything about Splunk. Splunk alone, the commands in Splunk, you can't get it. So what companies do is that they have saved the script on the PC. In the virtual machines they will provide you, they have all those scripts on the SharePoint. So you go there, if you want to generate a report, you do copy and paste. You don't type the commands, because if you type the commands and you miss something, you can be able to destroy the entire infrastructure. So that's why it's so easy. I don't know whether you are getting the point. Can you guys get what I'm trying to explain?
Can you give us some overview on that? What it is?
Yeah, so what I'm trying to say is that most of the scripts that are being used are the things that you use daily. They are the things that you use daily. So it's not like you are supposed to memorize anything. The reason why people are afraid to get into this technical side is that they are afraid that you need to know a lot of tools. Some of them are even thinking you need to be good in Python and PowerShell and all that. Yes, it will be A+ for you if you know all those things. But if you don't know all those things, what you need to know is that you just have to get yourself familiar with the tools that are being used. So that is what I'm going to do with this training. I'm going to try to make you familiar with the tools and get used to them so that when you go to the working environment and you are trying to work and they give you a tool like Splunk, which is very common. Will spend much time on Splunk because it's very common. People that are teaching Splunk, they want you to memorize the commands, which is wrong. Because in the work environment, nobody would allow you to come and type ambiguous commands in their live environment. No. They have created all the scenarios. If let's say they have 50 scenarios, they have created all those 50 scenarios that you will use Splunk and created a script, a command, which you are bound to only those scripts. You are bound to only those scripts. Even if you see any errors or whatever, you must report to your supervisor. You cannot just start that because, oh, for me, I'm a guru in Splunk, so let me start just typing in a command. You must abide by it. So that's why I'm saying these work are done by tools. You just have to understand. So as part of the core functions, like I said, there will be only small part that you are doing. Maybe you are doing only monitoring. Level 1 SOC analyst or tier 1 SOC analyst, they do basic monitoring and detection. We'll get there and you will appreciate it more. Okay, so let's continue. As we go along, you can ask more questions. And I am recording this, so those of you that missed some of the sections, don't worry, I would share those videos with you so that you can, if you have time, you can rewatch and then try to appreciate the course. So when I get to a place where I want you to make sure you understand that one seriously, because these are things that you must know if you want to get into SOC. So those areas I'll tell you, for instance, this area you need to know. Because if you are applying for a job and the job says that they are looking for tier 1 SOC analyst, you need to know that as a tier 1 SOC analyst, what you are going to do is that you will monitor alerts, perform initial triad, and escalate incident when necessary. So let me explain this. Now, what this means is that you get a suspicious alert that somebody is trying to log into the company's infrastructure from an unknown place, maybe from Japan. Now, as a tier 1 SOC analyst, your job is to do initial investigation. That is what is called triage. The triage. Now, these are terms that instead of saying investigation, they will just say triage and all this. It's just investigation. You do initial investigation. So the initial investigation doesn't mean that you need to know programming and write some Python script to do. No. The initial investigation you will do is that you will contact the account owner. You will contact the account owner, the person who is trying to do. From the email address, you can be able to locate the person's Teams account or phone number from the organization's directory. All those things are on the SharePoint. So you do that. When you do that, and the person says that, no, it's not me. Then now, if you have that power, you'll be given, if you have that access to be able to block. Some tier 1 SOC analysts might not have the power to block somebody who is trying to log in. So that is why it is saying that escalate incident when necessary. So if you know you cannot take action, you now let somebody who can do that, maybe tier 2 can do that. They are all online doing the job at the same time. So you report it that somebody, this is a suspicious, and I confirm that the person is saying that he's not the rare one doing it. So block it. Then you block it. So that is the job of a tier 1. Now with a tier 2, what you do is that those incidents that is above tier 1, so it means that tier 2 people are more like a little bit advanced than tier 1 people, you understand? They are advanced. So they are advanced, they are more ahead in terms of, not really in terms of knowledge or experience, but because of access, the kind of access they have got. That's why make them more powerful. I don't know whether you guys get my explanation here. It's not like they are more useful or they are more experienced. No, it's because of the access they have. So in my organization, for instance, the tier 2 guys are more of those working for the organization. So they are those working for the organization. So they have more access that can block, do deeper investigations, and manage incident response. So this is something you need to take note, because you are going to SOC, and if I ask your role and you cannot talk about your role, then I don't think you deserve to get the job. And then there's tier 3. So we have 3 tiers: tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. The tier 3 people are mostly the people we call them threat hunters. They are people that specialize in threat intelligence. They know more of the threat. They are the people that have access to tools to do forensics. And so you can specialize. You can even build a skill trying to do forensics and trying to know more about malware, reverse engineering, and all that. That is tier 3. And then you have a SOC manager. So in my company now, I'm acting as a SOC manager. So a SOC manager, basically, what you do is just manage them, just manage the tiers and communicate and with stakeholders. But sometimes if somebody, a tier 1 is absent, you need to step in. A tier 2 is absent, you need to step in. So you need to have an idea of how the whole thing is run. If you don't have an idea of how the whole thing is run, you can't be a SOC manager. You can't be a SOC manager. So what that you do is that you just manage the resources. You manage the resources, coordinate meetings. So you will set up meetings, try to make sure that they deliver their report and all that. So that's all that about the roles. So these are easy. You can revisit this and get more understanding. So like I said, sometimes organizations would bypass the tier 3 and still recruit people and call them threat intelligence analysts. So in terms of the SOC thing we are talking about, these are all jobs that you can do. You can be both SOC, which is tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. You can also be employed as a threat intelligence analyst. You can also be employed as security engineer. Now, if you are interested in deeper technical stuff, you want to be so good with QRadar, Splunk, Cortex XOR, or those tools. If you are so well versed in it, then you become a security engineer. So for a SOC analyst, you don't engineer any tool. You are not the one going to fix Splunk when it is not working. You are not the one going to fix those tools. So that makes it not really technical. You just have to get used to the tools, that's all. And then you can get a job or something like forensic investigator, and then compliance analyst, or compliance specialist. So these are all roles of people that are part of the SOC team. So as a SOC, you can get all these things. So the reason why the SOC analyst is so easy to get a job is that we need so many people, because it's 24/7 and it is run 365 days. So anytime somebody is online, as we are speaking, people are monitoring. They are working. Saturday, Sunday, people are working. So that makes it more employable than the rest of the roles. Okay, now we get to, if you have any question, please, you have been silent for a long time. If you have any question, kindly ask. I want it to be so easy for you guys. I want it to be so easy. So if you have anything you don't understand, don't feel shy. Ask, let's all discuss it. It shouldn't be like I'm the only one talking. So let me hear your feedback, guys. And even if I'm moving so fast, let me know. Any question? Kwesi, do you have any question?
No, I don't have any question. I'm following through.
Okay.
Just following the roles and responsibilities and the definitions. I'm getting it.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. If any of you guys have a question, please ask then, because it's yeah, okay.
I think there's a function that you have to raise your hand. So in case anybody have a question, they'll be able to raise your hand.
Okay. So
it will prompt you.
those guys, if you have any question, there's that raise your hand button over there.
Yeah.
You can I don't want it to be like we are
And
just talking.
guys, don't be shy. What he wants you to do, he wants you to succeed. So if you don't understand anything, this is the time to ask questions so that he'll be able to explain it further. If you pile it, then it's going to be more confusing. We are all learning.
Okay. Thank you, Kwesi. Thank you. Okay, so let's go ahead. So this part is very, very important. So like I said, after this, I'll share the slide with you. The slide is easy for us to also have access to. So there's a detailed notes that is there. This is just the concept that I've selected. So this is very, very important, please. This is very, very important. If you want to get a job as a SOC analyst, when you go to you join the meetings, and these are terms they are talking about every day. So if you yourself, you cannot understand them, if you don't understand these terms and the concept, I don't think anyone will employ you as a SOC analyst. So you need to make sure some of them, you have to commit to memory, memorize them by heart, so that when you start speaking, you are talking about it. Well, if you can't communicate in this concept, they don't think you are a SOC analyst. So you must memorize this concept. So these are basic ones. These I will not waste time, because for when you get into cybersecurity, these are things that you talk about. These are things that you already know, like threat actors, people who are like committing various attacks. These are basic cybersecurity. When you read these things, it is easy for you to understand. So where we are talking about nation states trying to hack other governments, you know that North Korea is always trying to hack the United States of America. China is always in espionage hacking spree with US and all that. So governments are now capable of hacking others. Russia has a whole department that is dedicated to hacking other countries. So that is what we call the nation state activists or nation states. So these are groups of people that do like attacks, that do attack other organizations. They may have their own motive, like nation state. China, for instance, might want to steal intellectual property. Like you realize that OpenAI just came. After 2 years, China brought DeepSeek, which is better and more cheaper than OpenAI. What happens is that they might have stolen that secret from OpenAI without them knowing. So the government have sophisticated tools targeting other nations. There is a company in Israel that built a malware hacking, like a tool that was used to hack organizations and countries. And that software, even iPhone could not stand it. And Israel was selling those tools to countries. There are a lot of countries that bought those tools. Saudi Arabia was one. They purchased a tool that they could hack anyone. Even on iPhone, they could hack you. And these are things that fall under the nation state. So US is doing that. US is always hacking other countries. US, they are doing that. But in the end, when somebody does it to them, that is when they get offended. And then we have cyber criminals. So like I said, I don't want to waste my time over here. Cyber criminals, people who are we call them hackers, they are in to hack you for the money. Ransomware, they will attack your system with ransomware and all that. You need to understand all these things to operate as a SOC analyst. You need to understand. And like I said, these ones are easy. When I share the slides and everything with you, these are not technical. These are things you understand. And there are people they call themselves hacktivists. People call themselves hacktivists. They hack for fun. They hack. They want to break into the system for a cause, maybe for a religious cause, maybe for something, some ideology, some philosophies they have. They just want to hack. That's what they do. And then there is insider threat. People in the US, very, very big security threat in the US is insider threat. They are in the organization and they are trying to work against it. A typical example is Edward Snowden. I hope most of us know about Edward Snowden, the guy working for the NSA and still decided to work against them from within. He's now living in Russia, and US wants him back and prosecuted. And then we have script kiddies, people, they are kids, or they are not kids, not like they are kids in physical sense, but their experience is similar to a kid. They don't really have specialized hacking experience. They only go online, buy tools online, and use it to hack. So there is what we call ransomware as a service. If you want to attack an organization, you can go and buy a ransomware and attack any organization with it. Mostly those things are done by script kiddies. And those guys that are more serious, that organizations are afraid, are what we call the advanced persistent threats, the APTs. They can be in your infrastructure for more than 5 years and you will never notice them. China has been using this against US for a long time. And when you go to the FBI site, FBI most wanted list, they have this Russian guy over there. US is afraid of the guy. And I think they are saying that anyone who can like be able to help them to arrest that guy, they are going to pay like $5 million. The guy is so dangerous that he has hacked most of the US critical infrastructure. So those are the people that fall under the advanced persistent threat. They can be in your infrastructure. You have antivirus, you have all the tools, but you will never notice them. So this is why, as a SOC analyst, you need to understand these things. So if you're a SOC analyst and you don't understand this, and it wouldn't be something for your career. So you need to understand. So, and then we have threat vectors. So the first one are threat actors. So threat actors, remember, threat actors will be personalities, right? It will be people. We are talking about actors, people who are actors. And then these ones are vectors. Vectors, what ways can they get onto the infrastructure? So what ways can the hackers deliver the malware and those things onto our infrastructure? So these are the pathways. These are the pathways. Now, we have phishing and social engineering, where people can manipulate, send you a link and tell you to click on it, which is very common when you are working as a SOC analyst. You are working as a SOC analyst. This is very common. People can call you to lure you to give a code out, which is basic, where people do it to hack other people, WhatsApp and all that. So it's basic phishing. And it is the most common attack, phishing and social engineering. So when you are working as a SOC analyst, you realize that most of the times the phishing and social engineering attacks are mostly high. You see a lot of them. And then we have malware, malicious software. So like I said, there is an Israeli company that used to sell a software to government to hack anyone. You remember there was a case of a journalist, Khashoggi. I think he was a US citizen who was murdered. He was murdered because Saudi Arabia were able to hack his iPhone to know that he was coming to that embassy. And these softwares, there are organizations that are producing them and selling them. And Israel is one of them. They have softwares like that. They sell, but they say that they only sell to law enforcement and government. But when the government buys, whatever they will use it for, how do you know? So that's where it's a bigger problem. And guys, don't worry, this is being recorded. When we finish, I'll share with you. So in case you don't understand anything, you can rewatch again. And then there's exploiting vulnerabilities. These are basics, where there's a flaw in the system, you can take advantage. The most dangerous part is the 0 days, the loopholes that the organizations are not aware themselves. So that's something I think is easy. These things are not really technical. When you read, you understand. And then we have credential theft, where people are able to steal credentials. It could be shoulder surfing. Somebody is typing the password, you just look some way and then get it. That's credential theft. Sometimes you can use cookies, browser cookies. If hackers can steal credentials, your logins, using cookies and all that. And then we have web application attacks. Sometimes we can lure you. We can set up a fake website, lure you to go there, and then use SQL injections and cross-site scripting and all that. So these are things I would want you to read. You read more, you can get it. They are not really difficult. And you just have to commit to memory that anytime they say it, you know what they are saying. And then we have supply chain attacks, where if I know I cannot hack this organization, I can hack their vendors. When I hack their vendors, I'll be able to penetrate, because organizations have a lot of third-party vendors, a lot of clients they are working with. So you hack them and you can get onto their infrastructure. You can do privilege escalation, climb onto their infrastructure. And then we have DDoS, or denial of service attacks, where if you know you cannot hack them, disrupt their operations. So if I know I can't hack them, I will make sure that their systems will go offline. Recently, Elon Musk came out to say that Twitter was DDoS. People tried to put it offline. People tried to put it offline. He was claiming that some of the IPs were coming from Ukraine. But hackers can always hide behind IP address. But you know, Elon Musk can always make fictitious claims. Okay. If you guys have any question, you can raise your hand and let me explain it more to you, because I want it to be so easy, so easy, so that you not be afraid of technical stuff. And then the next one, so we have talked about threat actors or attack actors or threat actors. Now we have attack surfaces. The last one was vectors, like vectors. Now we are talking about surfaces. The surfaces are the infrastructure we have, the software we have. How do we get onto it? So we have network attack surface, software attack surface, physical attack surface, human attack surface, cloud attack surface, and then third-party attack surface. So network, we have endpoints, we have routers, we have all those kind of network frameworks. Attackers can target those things. Those are the ones we are talking about. And then we have software. Most people usually attack Windows software because they are the most vulnerable. They are the most vulnerable. So you identify that there's a loophole in a Microsoft, maybe Microsoft Excel, and then you use it as a way to attack the infrastructure. So it becomes an attack surface. And then we have physical attack surface, where facilities, you know, when you are using your bag to enter an office, you don't have to allow somebody to come in behind you. Tailgating, that is called tailgating. So somebody can, oh, I've left my pen drive in the office and I don't have my key card, please let me in. That could be a physical attack surface. The person is using facilities and hardware against the distance. Sometimes they can use a pen drive, drop a pen drive around, and then that. And we have human attacks, like manipulating people. You're just like I cited. You can say that, oh, I've left my distance, let me go in and take it. Or I'm coming in to do something for the organization, but I don't have a bag. Can you let me in? The person could be an attacker who is coming to the premises to attack. And then we have cloud. Now, all organizations are moving into cloud, AWS, Google Cloud, all those things. They are not 100% safe. Nothing is bulletproof in terms of hacking and cyber stuff. So they all can be vulnerable. APIs can be vulnerable and they can be compromised. And then we have third-party attack, just like the third-party, this thing I talked about in the earlier one, where you are maybe using a software for a company, from a company, and that company's software has been compromised with a malware. If you are using it in your organization, you can also be infected. Team, if you have any question, do ask. If you have any question, please do ask. Okay, now these are operational terms. I titled this operational terms because when you are working, this is something you hear every day. In your interview, these are things that you have to play with it. You have to give examples, like make them love what you are saying, that you know it. So that's why I label this operational terms. This you will hear every day. You will hear every day. So if you don't understand, you will not even be allowed, you will not even be given a job. You go to an interview and they tell you, give an instances where you can have a true positive alert and you don't understand true positive. I'm sorry to say you can't get the job. So this is something that is very, very important. True and false positive. So that's why I label this operational terms. So we have all the settings that is being done, but we are able to know that whether the alert that we have gotten, whether it is really a good alert or not. So when we say a true positive, it means that it is something we are waiting for. And it shows that this is a correct alert. Like it's true. It is something that is true. Look at it. True and at the same time what? Positive. True and at the same time what? Positive. So it's a correct alert that identifies real malicious activity. The definition is not important. Definition, don't care about definitions. Don't look at definitions. They are not relevant. Understand it. So example, I made sure I will give an example. An example is that a SOC analyst or a SOC 2 flags an outbound connection to a known command and control center, C2 server, command and control. Now, what this means is that a Splunk, we are using Splunk, and Splunk tells us that somebody is downloading huge sums of data from our server to an unknown server, which is the command and control server, the C2 here. If we see this, then we have to do investigation. We have to block it instantly and do investigation. And the investigation will confirm that, yes, we have been infected with the malware. So true positive means that you have already been infected. If true positive comes true, you have been infected. The malware is passing through. That's why you have gotten that alert. So that is something you must do serious investigation. Following the incident response lifecycle, we'll come to that. That's what I told you. You must commit that to memory. So this you must commit to memory. And then we have false positive. False positive is every day you go to work as a SOC analyst, you will get false positive. You will see false positive. So false positive is an incorrect, a wrong alert, an alert that is wrong. And this, you must do a lot of things to make it right. So in the SOC environment, what we do is that we work to minimize false positive, because the false positive are so annoying, and it brings what we call fatigue. Alert, we call it alert fatigue. This is something you hear, alert fatigue, meaning it is throwing us with a lot of alerts which are not true. That is what we call the false positive. So I've given an example. Even in your organization, somebody is trying to run a legitimate software, but your infrastructure will still say that it is an alert. How is this? Somebody just trying to authenticate using multi-factor authentication, MFA, and then you realize that there's an alert that somebody has mixed an authentication. That is annoying. So we need to make sure that we fine-tune the software to minimize false positive. So in an SOC environment, we try to do changes in the settings to make sure that we minimize false positive, because it is annoying. This term, every day you hear it. So you must make sure, commit this in memory. Commit it in memory. This is very, very important. Commit it in memory. And then we have a false negative. This you will not really hear that often. You will not hear it often, because so this is where between rare malicious activity goes unnoticed by security tools. That this means that the company, you are not doing nothing. You are just there. You are just there. The company is just there. If you get false negative, it means that you have been hacked so many times. They have hacked you for a long time that you are not even aware. So nobody wants to hear about false negative. False negative is your enemy. If a SOC analyst and there is false negative, oh, then you guys are dead. And this mostly happens when there is a 0 day, meaning there is even a vulnerability that Microsoft themselves, they are not aware. And this is what the APTs they use. They have that loophole in the system that they are not aware. So like the software I was talking to you about from Israel, Pegasus, That's the name of the software. You can Google it. Pegasus was hunting even Apple. They had a loophole in iPhone for more than 10 years, and iPhone never knew. It took some researchers from the University of Toronto to tell iPhone, to tell Apple that there is a loophole in your this thing that they are using. They could hack you by just sending you SMS with Pegasus. And Apple themselves, they couldn't know how to even fix that problem. And that becomes a 0 day, and it's very, very dangerous. And this Israeli company used it to hack so many, and US was there. US never talked anything about it because they themselves, they were enjoying it. So if you are holding iPhone and thinking that time that nobody could hack you, it was easy. They could send you an SMS, iMessage, just iMessage. You don't need to click. Don't click anything, but they will hack you. So these are things that you and I can't do anything about it because the makers of the software themselves cannot do anything about it because it's a 0 day. They are not even aware that it exists. And when false negative happens, it means that your tools, everything you have on your infrastructure is useless. They are the most dangerous because they allow attackers to remain undetected, increasing the risk of damage. So this is something you need to understand. And then we have benign positive. You will hear this a lot, benign, benign, benign. When you are a SOC analyst, you hear this a lot, benign, benign. I'm trying to teach what is on the environment, what you will be using when you are working. So that's why I'm bringing all these things around. So this is something you hear. A benign is something that is unusual, but you expect it. For instance, if you are entering your password and it triggers an alert, right? It's something that is expected. So we always say that benign positive, but expected, meaning we are aware. So what we do is that we have to fine-tuning, meaning we are making changes to the settings. We are making changes to the settings. We are making changes to the settings to make sure that some of these benign positive will be minimized. This is different from false positive. Benign positive is different from false positive. This, you are aware. You are aware yourself. But false positive, you are not aware. You understand? But it identifies an unusual behavior. But this activity is not malicious. You understand? So try to distinguish between the two. It's very, very important. So in each instance, I've given an example. In each instance, I've given an example to make it more for you to appreciate. So a system administrator logs in from a new location while traveling. The activity triggers a geolocation alert, but it's verified as legitimate. This is a benign positive. So when we started, I cited an example that somebody travels to Germany. He still says that he has raised a ticket. He has communicated to the organization, I'm traveling to Germany. And still, he logs into his machine in Germany, and the system still says that this is an alert or an attack or incident. This is benign because we are aware. You understand? We are aware, so it's benign. So it's not something that is malicious. So we call it benign positive, or sometimes they will just say benign, benign, benign. Okay. If you have any question, please don't hesitate to ask. You can raise your hand and ask. And I'm recording the whole thing. When I finish, I'll share the recording with you guys. Those of you that mixed some of the parts earlier, or you still want to put much emphasis on places you couldn't understand, you can still revisit and get yourself well versed with it. So we have benign but expected. Sometimes we say that benign but expected. Or we can say that benign positive but expected. It's just like the earlier one, but this one you are really aware. Maybe we are doing testing. When we are doing testing and scanning the whole network, our tools will flag it as an alert because we are trying to do, when hackers want to attack a system, they first of all do what we call reconnaissance. They do reconnaissance. They try to scan the infrastructure to see if there's a loophole. So if we are doing testing ourselves, we are aware that there will be a lot of alerts that are being triggered. So if, for instance, in the cybersecurity environment, we have people we call red team, blue team, and those guys. If they want to do any test, they would inform the SOC team that we are going to do tests. So if you see an alert coming from this side, treat it as benign but expected, or benign positive but expected. Now, I'm well versed with that area because I'm a certified ethical hacker myself. Because I know the stages of, if you want to hack someone, the stages you must go through before you can hack someone. So these are things that I'm well versed with because I've been doing hacking for a long time and I know some of these things. So it's mostly what happens that an attacker wants to attack. And then we have incident severity. So in SOC environment, this is also something you hear. So incident is something that has happened, an alert that occurred, which is being treated, and treating it, we categorize. Every organization have their way of categorization. They have their own way of categorizations, but the examples are critical, high, medium, low. These are examples. Sometimes the medium, they say moderate. Sometimes some of them even introduce serious. They can introduce their own term. So when you go to your organization, they have their own way of showing the scope and criticality in terms of severity. Severity, we are talking about how serious it is. So how serious it is, we are looking at, is it critical? If it is critical, if your organization says that their highest one is the critical, it means that that is one that must be treated with serious attention. So if, for instance, we have a lot of alerts that are being triggered, and we have critical ones, we have low and medium. Which one do you think must be attended to? Of course, this is the critical, right? It is the critical. You have to attend to the critical ones first, because the critical ones are the ones that are targeting top executives, top infrastructures, and all that. So infrastructures that are on the high end in terms of organizations that are delivering critical services like electricity, gas, water, and those things. If there's any infrastructure that is delivering maybe a gas to a home and areas, and attackers are attacking it, and there is an attack on maybe a normal website which is there to give information, and an alert came, the alert comes, and then you say that you are going to treat the website one first. You leaving the one that is delivering a critical service. I hope you guys understand the scenario I'm drawing over here, where we have to treat things that hold stuff that are really, really important first. That is what we call the incident severity. So anytime something happens, we treat the ones that are critical first. Okay, Luther wants to ask a question. Okay.
Yeah, okay, thank you. I want to take you back a bit.
Okay.
On the benign, positive, and then can you...
Benign, positive, and benign expected.
No, and then true negative.
Oh, okay. Okay, so by true negative, what we are saying is that there is an attack that has been going on for a long time that you guys have mixed. You understand? It shows that it's negative, but the negative itself is at the same time false. So we have mixed a rare malicious activity. We have mixed it, and maybe later, after we have patched or after we have done some advert, or if, let's say, Microsoft releases a patch saying that, oh, there is a 0-day exploit. You remember, if you have been in cybersecurity for a long time, there was a flaw that was called Eternal Blue. Eternal Blue triggered a lot of cyber attacks. Eternal Blue, it is the one that started the WannaCry ransomware. And in the UK, their airport, NHS, all those guys. In the USA, a lot of companies had their thing encrypted. All because Microsoft never saw that there was a 0-day called Eternal Blue. It was serious. and it cost a lot of money. It was that point that we saw the need of cybersecurity professionals. So when false negative happens, nobody wants to hear about a false negative. It is an enemy. False negative. If your tools are getting false negative, it means that you are not working. Your tools are not working because all this thing are passing through. All the malware and those things are passing through. You understand? So it's something we don't even discuss on the SOC environment. An efficient tool must either give false positives and false must give false positive, benign, and those things. False positive, true positive, they are the ones that are common. False positive, true positive, they are the ones that are common. But false negative, we also have true negative, but there's no need for us to say true negative, so it is not common because it is negative. Negative means that it is not there. You understand? But when it's false negative, means that our tools are defenseless. You understand? And let's discuss the benign positive. The benign positive is an alert that identifies an unusual activity, but the activity is not dangerous. It is not malicious. You understand? It is not malicious. It is not something that is dangerous. It is legitimate. So an example I've given is a system administrator logs in from a new location while traveling. So you go to Germany. You are in Germany, but you are still locked out from your account. You told them, but your account is still locked. In this case, it is not dangerous. You understand? It is not dangerous. It is not dangerous. So the next one is benign but expected. It's benign positive but expected, the same benign. In this case, we ourselves, we are aware. Maybe we are running a test. We are trying to run a test, do reconnaissance. We want to do simulation, drill, maybe social engineering drill. Maybe it's part of the corporate cybersecurity awareness, and we are aware. So we are aware. So when it comes, the SOC analyst will not lock those machines. You will just record and say that this is benign but expected. We'll get to a point where I'll take you guys through how a SOC analyst try to like document and all that. We'll get to all that. And I think those areas, you guys will appreciate it more. I hope, Muta, you are okay with it.
Yes.
Okay. Now, the next one is incident priority. This one's easy. Priority, like in terms of the criticality and all that, which one do we place more emphasis on? Which one do we place more emphasis on in terms of the criticality? I told you that the one that is serving critical infrastructures, they are the ones you pay much attention. So when you go to the organization, they will give you in terms of infrastructure wise. So always top executives are on top. So if you see there is somebody sending a malicious email to maybe your VP or the CIO or the CISO, that is treated higher than an email being sent to me. Who am I? That one will not be ranked as critical. So in terms of priority, that's what we are talking about it. So if there is a malicious attack against a CISO, Chief Information Security Officer, we have to treat that one with more like seriousness. And that is what we call the incident priority. It doesn't mean that if the attacks are coming, we'll just go and solve everything at once. No, we will solve it based on severity, incident severity. Now, I'm explaining these terms because you go to interviews, these are the stuff they will ask you. These are the basic stuff. Nobody will go to a SOC analyst interview and they will go and bring a tool for you to experiment. No, they want to know that you understand some of these terms. And if you understand these terms, you will get the job. If you understand these jobs and you can give examples in your interviews with it, you get the job. You get it. So this is a simple difference between severity and priority. So severity talks about how bad is it, and priority talks about when should we act on it. So when are you going to act on it? So when should we act on it? If attacks are coming, it doesn't mean that we should treat all attacks seriously. No, we don't treat all attacks seriously. Some of the attacks we will treat it minor, like low ones. You don't really go and then spend all your resources on low attacks. somebody trying to access a website, you get an alert and you are going to block the person. No, that's not an attack. So this is the difference. So easy to understand. And these are very, very important. This is also very, very important. The places I will say is very, very important. Please take note and make sure you memorize it. Every day you work as a SOC analyst, you will hear these terms. So these are what we call key performance indicators. And your bosses are more, they are so interested, and this is so important to them than any other thing. This is the one that tells us that the job we are doing, are we failing or we are winning? In an interview, I have been asked several times about SLA. You will be asked about it. And I have a very comprehensive interview document about SOC analysts. And after you guys going through the theory, maybe reading it for once, don't spend your time on the theory side. Like, just concentrate on that interview document I'll give you. And trust me, if you go through that interview document, you blow any SOC analyst interview, because they are the things they will ask you. And it's always around that. It's always around. They won't ask anything out of it. Okay, so we have SLA, service level agreement. I have been asked about this almost every interview I attended. SLA, I have been asked about this so many times. So when we talk about SLA, it is an agreement we put over there. So a SOC team or MSSP, we put it over there that the organization is saying that when the attack comes, we want you guys to respond to it in 15 minutes time for critical ones. And they document this. They write these things down. They put it down when you go. Now, when you join any organization during the onboarding, these are the things they will brief you, teach you about it. It is something they will let you know, because they know that if you don't know this thing, you can't work. So you see, there is something like there's something in a table form like that I put over there. So you always hear P1, P2, P3, P4. They are talking about SLA. They are talking about SLA. Now, SLA is the time for us to respond. So we have two kinds. We have TTN and then TTR. Sometimes they call it MTTD, MTTR. MTTD for mean time to detection. And then we have mean time to respond or recover. I will explain all that. So P1, P2, P3, P4, you see critical is P1, means that our time to notify, meaning time for us to get an alert and try to inform stakeholders that we have received an attack, is 15 minutes. Every organization have their own way of representing this. Some of them can say TTD, time to detect. It's all the same concept. So in terms of trying to get our critical alert like resolved, we are using 15 minutes. If you miss 15 minutes, there's a breach. You'll be called to answer questions as to why your team members are missing the SLA, which is critical, which is P1. You must always make sure that P1, you always meet it. And then we have P2, priority 2, which is 30 minutes. Every organization have their own way of giving these numbers. So it is not something that will be the same for everyone. So just understand the TTN is time to notify. It is the time to which the analysts, the tier 1 and tier 2 SOC analysts are able to respond or get notification from the platform and respond. That time is what we are talking about here. And then we have time to resolve. Sometimes they call it time to recover. And the TTN, the one that we looked earlier, sometimes they call it, some organization can say time to respond. Some of the organization can use time to respond. So just get the whole concept of the SLE. It is the time that has been agreed upon to either respond or recover or resolve any alert or event that happens. That is all about SLE. And with that, we are talking about our P1, P2, P3, P4. That one is universal in all SOC environment, the PPP something. So you go to an interview and you're able to talk about, oh, our SLAs, we have the P1, P2, P3. In my previous organization, I was doing 15 minutes for P1. They know, this guy knows, he knows what he's talking about. If you begin to speak in these languages, this guy is good. He knows what he's talking about. But if you cannot speak in these languages, they think that you don't know, because this is basic. An SLA, service level agreement in SOC environment, is basic. So we have time to recover or time to resolve. Now, this is the time after you have received and acknowledged the alert that this is an attack, this is critical, you have documented it and escalated. Maybe you cannot block anything, you cannot do anything. You escalate to someone who can do resolve. When that person resolves, that is when we can say that it is closed or it is open. And resolution or resolving time and recovery time takes longer. Sometimes it takes a lot of staff to be able to recover. So we have priority 1 for critical is 4 hours, priority 2 is 8 hours, and priority that in that order. And like I said, every organization have their own. Every organization, this is not fixed for everyone. So this is the time they try to solve any problem that has come out. If you guys have any questions, we are coming to a close. I think we'll be finishing very soon. We'll be finishing. So if you have any question, so these are common ones you will hear. MTTD, mean time to detect. You go to an organization, they may be using MTTD. This is the average time it takes to detect a security incident. So what do you think if a company is having a high MTTD time? What do you think is happening? If a company is having a high MTTD time, what do you think is happening? It's taking them long for MTTD.
That means they're not being effective.
Yeah, it means they are not being effective. Thank you, Kwesi. They are not being effective at all. Because it's taking you a long time for you to detect that there is an incident that is going on in the infrastructure. You are not being effective. And then we have MTTR, mean time to respond or resolve. This is the average time it takes to respond or fully resolve when you have an attack. How fast does it take you to resolve? So these are all KPIs that measures performance. So the VIPs, the CISO, those guys sitting out there, they don't care about that long thing that we are talking about here. What they care about are these KPIs. So these are what they are more interested. When they take any report, that is what they watch. They don't care about the tools we are using. They don't care about those things. Some of them don't even understand these technical tools and all that we are using. Theirs is to check the KPIs. If you go and make any presentation, it's the KPIs we are talking about. We are able to do and work within our KPIs. That's all that they want to hear. But if we are working and always you are breaching your SLAs, you are not doing job. You are not doing any job. You are not effective. And they can get rid of you. So we have come to a close. If you have any questions, so the next lesson will be incident response. So if you guys have any question, we spent like almost 1 hour, 20 minutes. I've been doing a lot of the talking. So if you have any doubts about whether this course is so difficult and you can't do, or you have any issues with any of the things that I mentioned, you can bring it up. And trust me, it is never difficult. If you get your way around it, it's never difficult. And the way I'm going to do this, I'm preparing a lot of things to make you get your first SOC interview easy and pass it and get the job. So I have included a lot of stuff that will help you. Like I said, I have this comprehensive interview document that when you get your hands on it, after reading the notes for one time, don't spend much time because you can't get everything in the notes. But there are some basic stuff you need to get. And when you get it, you get a job. And please, I want you to get this, memorize this thing, memorize it. Because I have been asked several times in an interview. If you don't understand this, nobody will hire you as a SOC analyst. PDCP. This is very important. Get it in your head. And when you are doing interview, play with this, play with this words, play with it, just play with it. And if we're able to play with it and explain it, let them know you understand this one. I can't remember, I did an interview with American Express, and the director in charge of acquisition and mergers, he asked me a question about this thing, and I gave him an example. I explained this in detail. The guy was just watching at me. And he said, it's enough. You have done more than enough. So I just realized that there are some stuff they want to hear. And those ones that they want to hear, when a question of it comes, just spend all the time, waste all their time on that topic. So that when those ones that you cannot answer well, if you are not able to even answer it, because we have wasted time, and you know they are working with time, we have wasted time explaining that you understand the concept, they might not treat the ones that you get it wrong as serious. So please, in our next lesson, I want you guys to have this in your head. This one, have it in your head. Just have it at your fingertips. So that's all that I have for you guys. I have recorded the lesson. I will share with you guys. Those of you who are interested for us to go on, speak to me behind the scene and let's get it on board. I will give you a lab. Let me share with you. Let me share with you how the lab looks like. I want to briefly share with you. So I will stop sharing this screen now, and I will share another screen showing you how the lab looks like. And I'll give access to everyone. When you have access to the lab, I'm going to include a workbook about the practicals we'll do. So yours is to practice your hands on it all the time. And it's not going to be difficult. It's something I have made it so easier for you to get it. Okay, can you guys see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay, so I have prepared the document. For instance, incident handling with Splunk. And inside the document, we are going to investigate. So see, this is what we'll play with it. So we'll be given a scenario. I have all the answers, everything together. So when I give you this document, plus the lab, this is the access to the virtual machine. Now, the reason why I want it to be like this is that when you go to the work environment, these are the things they will give you. You will always be given a virtual machine where you will run everything. This is not my computer. This is a virtual desktop where you play with it. Everything is there. So you play with it. So I have installed Splunk in it. So each one of you have a Splunk. It will come out. I will provision it, come installed with all the tools that we need. So this is what we'll use. And each one of you have your own unique user ID. So when you get it, you can log in. And when you log in, you are able to access whatever we are discussing. And like I said, I will give you a workbook which explains step by step what you will do. So this thing you see over here, this is what we are using in most of the SOC environment. The reason why Splunk is the commonest. Splunk is the commonest because it's a little bit flexible and they have been in the business for a long time. Some companies also would want you to have an idea of QRadar, Microsoft Sentinel and all that. And like I said, I'll give you overview on all those things. And the interview questions that I'll give you, it covers all those tools that are used on the SOC environment. I have made a lot of comprehensive research on that, and you will get all that. So when you get on board, this is what we'll do. And don't be afraid of this thing. You don't need to know all. You only be using searching and reporting. That is your job. And maybe sometimes dashboard. That is your job. You only use this part. So this part, I'm going to give you commands that you will use. And I'll show you easy how you can get used to it. And you don't need to understand everything. Because myself, I don't know everything about it. And no one can say that he knows everything about it. You understand? So don't get scared. don't get scared, and we would try to make sure you get it. So I have created a script which I will share with you. I will share all the scripts. So this is an example of a simple Splunk command. I'll share all those things with you. So when you are there, you'll be playing with some of these scripts. That's your job. You'll be playing with some of these scripts. You play with it, and then you see what happens. And aside that, I've given the results. Well, when you don't get the same results, then you come back to me, and I'll demonstrate to you the reason why you didn't get that results and all that. So that's that for the whole SOC job. And trust me, if you follow all these things that I'm telling you, you will land a job as a SOC analyst very soon. Any question, guys? Any questions?
No question. I think your explanation has been clear enough so far.
Yeah. So I'm going to share the video with you guys so that those things that you don't understand, you can still revisit and then let me know. And we can speak behind the scenes if you are not sure of what to ask now. Behind the scene, kindly